There are many considerations when you are first selecting some technologies that are going to support your remote teaching activities. We've boiled it down in this video to the top 4 guiding principles that we would recommend in making those decisions. And I'm going to go through each one by one and outline some of the considerations that go into these. So first, let's consider the element of institutionally supported. When a tool is institutionally supported, it means that the institution has in some way bought into the enterprise license that makes it available not only for you but for your students, most often free of charge, or because that charge is being covered by the institution. This provides a lot of benefit that makes that technology the better choice over those technologies that are not institutionally supported. So some of those considerations are that tech support would be readily available on campus by campus-based tech support avenues like ITS, like the Center for Teaching and Learning, etc. Another consideration is institutional tools are most or more likely to be able to play well with the LMS, so with OnCue, and be able to be embedded or integrated with OnCue. The final reason why institutionally supported tools are better often is because they have been vetted in terms of the personal information that's being shared with that platform. So it has gone through some checks and balances to make sure that any personally identifying information, whether yours or students' information, particularly student numbers, grades, etc., that this is all protected better than some of those third-party tools that are not institutionally supported, where these checks and balances have not been secured. So the second guiding principle here is that it enables asynchronous engagement. What do I mean by asynchronous? Well, it's that instructors and students in the course are able to engage with course content at different times. So from different locations, they might log in at different times within the week. And students move through this more flexible timeline with your guidance, of course, but it may make up a set of readings, media, quizzes, discussion boards, etc. And the instructor sets the guidelines and expectations, provides feedback and assessment as needed. This is important and there's a couple different considerations that might influence your thought about asynchronous tools. So one being that it helps you be there for your students. It improves your contact with students by your ability to manage, monitor, engage, and provide feedback to students. In essentially, the asynchronous benefit here is that you can do that at your own time when you're able to engage, and it's there for the students as they are then able to engage. The second consideration is that it helps students connect with one another. So the tool is better or best when it offers both the asynchronous, but possibly synchronous as well, those opportunities for communication, interactivity, and transfer of meaning, like relationships with one another. The third guiding principle here is accessibility. And when I talk about accessibility, I'm really talking about a real broad notion of range of considerations. So there's the principles of flexible and adaptable design that supports a variety of learners, not just those who have disabilities. That's important. The accessibility standards lay out those guidelines that are expected for tools that meet AODA compliance and the expectations that we would see for students who might face disabilities. But an accessible tool also enables others at a very broad definition of diverse users to engage their various literacies and capabilities for engaging with the tool. So in other words, there's this widened opportunity for learners to participate and engage in a variety of different formats. Another way of thinking about accessibility is that the barrier to use is low. So for example, when it comes to the required equipment needed in order to engage in that tool, there's not a barrier presented. Rather, the tool does not require this elaborate, expensive equipment in order to engage. And similarly, cost of use is another element in reducing barrier. So if the tool were to have a cost associated with it, that would be a barrier to some students in engaging in that tool. Rather, the best tool you could use is one that is free of charge. This links back to the notion of institutionally supported, because often those institutionally supported tools are coming free of charge because they are supported by the institution and there's a license available. Finally, and this is something that you will be able to best judge for yourself, but the best tools for you are the ones that feel easy to use. Now, we might define this or describe what easy to use means by focusing on, ease of use. Does the tool have a user-friendly interface that makes it easy for you and your students to make skillful use of that tool? Maybe it's in a personalized and intuitive manner, but this is a really subjective notion that it just feels right to you, and you suspect that students will not face many barriers in being able to use this tool effectively. Similarly, in terms of easy to use, the tool easily supports the cognitive tasks that you are trying to target with the use of that tool. So it supports that cognitive engagement. It gets students engaging in the learning in the way that you intend without posing a lot of difficulty or challenge to that type of engagement. So overall, those are the principles that I would focus on in quickly deciding on which tools fit best for you. If you have a tool in mind and you have listened to this presentation and it seems to check off these boxes in terms of meeting these types of requirements, then it is definitely a tool you might consider using for remote teaching. If you listen to some of these guiding principles and red flags are raised or you have questions, then that's a point at which to pause, seek out some maybe additional support, because certainly the Center for Teaching and Learning is able to offer some guidance and some further counseling or consultation on what tools might best fit and how to appropriately judge them.